Ooh, when did you realize that your hobby became an addiction? I think for years I actually claimed that I would never like a begonia. And I'm already feeling a little bit, not burnt out, that's not the right word. But hello friends and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a repot and chat video. I have several plants here. They're actually all new plants that I've recently added to my collection that I want to be putting into semi-hydro just because that's the substrate I prefer with them. And while I do that, I'm going to answer some questions that y'all have asked me over on Instagram when I posted a story the other day. So that's what's happening today. I feel like it's been ages since I've actually done a repot and chat video, so I'm actually really looking forward to having a bit of a chill one again. So this is a perfect video to put on while you're repotting yourself or doing some plant chores. So grab some planty things or just a snack and a drink and we can hang out together and I can answer some questions and repot some plants. So yeah. Before we get into it though, I want to say if you're new here and you don't know me already, hi, my name is Emma and I make houseplanty content all over the internet. So if you want to follow along with my houseplanty journey and maybe learn something along the way, stick around, watch some more of my videos, and subscribe to my channel. If you're not new here, welcome back. I really appreciate it. Let's get on into this repot. So I think I'm going to start with the begonia Hatakoa. I always get confused between Hatako and Hakatoa. My dyslexia switches the C and the T in there. I don't know why. But my Hatakoa silver is the one I'm going to do first. And I actually need to divide this plant up because me and my friend Lisa actually bought it together and we're going to split the plant because I think we can easily do it. It looks like it's easily splittable. There's definitely multiple plants in there, so should be fine. And let me pull up the question while I do. Okay, so the first question I have is, what is your favorite plant right now? And I honestly try and answer this question every single time I get it because my favorite plant changes so frequently. Lately, I have been really fond of my philodendron glorious. That is a top one for me almost always. And also, actually, my regal is my current favorite, or the one that I'm like most excited about right this second because it's putting out a new leaf. I know, I can't believe it's putting out another new leaf. I feel like it only just put out that last huge one. And so I'm really freaking excited about that. And I'm hoping that it grows in really well and nice and big. I definitely have some time before it grows in though. I've just, like the other day, noticed the little spike coming up of new growth. So that's super exciting. What else am I loving? I am thoroughly enjoying my begonias at the minute as a species, or a genus, which is something I never thought that I would get into. I think for years I actually claimed that I would never like a begonia. And so it's quite interesting to see how much tastes changed over time, and like now that I'm feeling more confident in them, I'm getting more and more of them, and that's quite exciting. So this is another one of the favorites that I've got. But yeah, those are the main ones that I feel like I think about the most. I also should say that I have asked for planty and personal questions because I think it's a bit of fun to do both. So someone's asked, this is kind of a two-parter, so the first one is, how did you end up in the UK? And I do have, I think, a whole repot and chat video on that, which I can link in the clickable eye and down below for you to go watch that. But long story short, I decided to do my master's degree here, and so I got my master's degree in photography and just kind of stayed. By the time I finished, I had met Joe and we had a life and stuff like that together. And that kind of leads to the second question, which was, do you think that you and Joe will stay living in London or will you move on one day? That is definitely something we're talking about at the minute. I think, me personally, I think London's a little bit too big for me. It's kind of a lot. I don't think I am a big city person, really. And so I don't think it's where I want to be long term. So then we have like options within that about like maybe moving to somewhere else in the UK, somewhere a little bit like a smaller city that you can still do stuff in, because I don't want to live out in the middle of nowhere where I can't get to people easily, or like where I have to drive half an hour to go to the supermarket. Like that's not, I'm not in it for that. But I don't think being in, we're not taking advantage of London as much as we can. So long term, I don't think we will stay in London, but I think potentially we might be considering moving to the States once we get married. Just because I miss living in California. I absolutely loved living in California, and I really want to live back there at some point, and I think it'd be fun for Joe and I to go and try it out, even just temporarily for like a year or two, and see if it is something that works well for us. And I want Joe to experience it, because there's so much out there that I know we love doing, especially like going outside and going on hikes and camping and all that stuff that I used to do all the time in California. And I'm not saying that I can't do it here, but I haven't really, aside from when we like travel around and stuff. So it just doesn't end up happening. Compared to in California, I feel like it's really easy to travel around and try lots of things. So that's kind of my thought on it. I do at some point want to move back to the States for a little bit, but it is a little bit of a process with Joe not being a US citizen. Obviously that makes things slightly more complicated. It'll be slightly easier once we're married, but it's still a process if he wants to live and work in the US. So not necessarily ideal, but it's fine. Also, this soil is so dense. Look at all that. And I've tried to get a lot of it off, but I actually, this might be one plant in this pot all connected together, which I wasn't actually expecting. So I will have to divide it myself if I want to do that. But I think I will do so after I wash the roots. I have also just decided right now that I want to clean all the roots of soil, of all of them, instead of having to go back and forth between the kitchen to wash all these plants' roots off, because one of the things that I really think is important when putting plants into semi-hydro, especially ones with these like really fine roots, is to get as much soil off as possible, because it can lead to rot if there's any sort of organic material in there that doesn't belong in semi-hydro. So might just leave this one at that for now. I haven't done it perfectly, but it's the best it's going to be, and I think water will do this one really good actually to get some more of this soil off, because this stuff was like pure dense, either peat or coir, I don't know, but really dense stuff. What plants can tolerate slightly lower temperatures, like for a basement office area? That's a good question. So the first one that comes to mind that I know can tolerate lower temperatures is the cast iron plant. That one for sure can tolerate quite a lot, and it can also tolerate not being in very much light. Also, can we talk about these roots? Amazing. So I think cast iron plant would be a good one, and they are kind of, you can get like a nice big one and it'll be a statement piece. It might cost a little bit more, but definitely worth it to buy one that's a little bit bigger, and they're really nice plants. You could also get a variegated one if you wanted something that's slightly more fun foliage wise, but they're really good plants. And also anything like golden pothos, like marble queen, they might not love the lower temperatures, but they can definitely tolerate it without being too unhappy, which is good. Sansevieria as well. I feel like a lot of the low light tolerant plants can also tolerate cooler temperatures. And that isn't to say that you should definitely put them in colder temperatures, that they would prefer colder temperatures, because that isn't the case. Most plants, if not all plants, are going to prefer warmer temperatures, because that's, like, it helps them do the whole chemical process thing in their leaves to turn light into energy. So probably not the best thing for them, but they can completely function in a cooler environment. So yeah, also I think peace lilies can tolerate a little bit lower. I'm not as well versed, I'd say that because I'm holding one right now. I'm not as well versed in peace lilies because I haven't had one for a very long time. I'm not a fan of the normal peace lily that much. The only reason I got this one was because it's a variegated one, which I think is so much more fun. But I think they can tolerate cooler temperatures and slightly lower light. They don't need anything like crazy light-wise, which can be a good option for a basement. Also, if you have stuff in the basement, if it's windowless, I do kind of recommend getting grow lights, because no plants really can grow with no light. They do kind of need something, or you can kind of rotate in and out plants to make sure that they are getting periods of light and then a period of darker time. I sometimes do that with plants in my hallway, which doesn't have any windows, not very much light, or even plants that end up going in my bathroom for some reason or another. They can live there for a while. My bathroom's windowless. They can live there for a while and be okay, but just not forever. And also you'd have to expect them to basically not grow very much, which is fine. If you're okay with that, then it's fine. But yeah, I feel like those are my first thoughts when going for a cooler temperature plant. If anybody else has any recommendations for cold temperature plants, put them down below in the comments, and we can kind of use that as a little bit of a wealth of knowledge down there. Does anyone have success with like cool temperatured plants? Also, how cold is cold? That's a question I probably should have asked. But I feel like if it's comfortable for you, typically it's comfortable for your houseplants. So as long as you're not sitting there freezing and wearing like a parka, most houseplants should probably be okay and will probably tolerate it. Someone asked what I'm currently watching on Netflix, and I'm currently watching the new Bridgerton season, which I'm thoroughly enjoying. If you haven't watched Bridgerton, I highly recommend it. If you like a good period romance, it is a brilliant time. I'm watching the 3rd season. I've caught up to where they I think they divided the season, and so I've caught up to where they divided it. I think what's the date today? It might be coming out like either today or tomorrow or something. Very, very soon the second part of the season is, and I will be watching that. Joe and I have also been watching Taskmaster on there, which we love. We do love a bit of reality TV and comedians and stuff. It's just quite chill and entertaining. And then our like go-to chill, I don't want to pay attention to something, but like comfort show is Friends, which I'm pretty sure is almost always on Netflix. I don't know how long that they've agreed to have it on there, but we love a bit of Friends. So if we're going back and rewatching a sitcom, Friends is a big one. Outside of Netflix, we are watching Parks and Recreation and The Challenge All-Stars, more reality TV. We really like competition reality TV shows. Oh yeah, I should show you the roots before I put it away, but look at these roots. How gorgeous are these? And that's not even washed yet. I can imagine them just getting even nicer once they've been washed, which is amazing. And then this one, my Alocasia heterophylla dragon's breath, which I definitely knew I wanted. Oh my goodness. Knew I wanted to put in semi-hydro right away. Look at those. Those are phenomenal. Also, I have found that this mix specifically, that these are in tends to dry out really, really, really quickly. This one and the one that begonia was in. I don't know why that one dries out so fast because, like, I don't get it because that one was really like thick and not much drainage to it, but it would dry out so quickly. I was watering that begonia so frequently, way more frequently than I was a lot of my other plants. So that was a bit of a surprise for me. I know someone asked something about alocasias, transferring alocasias to semi-hydro or pon, and how to prevent root rot. I think the answer is just be really gentle with the roots as you are taking soil off of them, and it is pretty normal for them to have an adjustment period where they aren't doing well, where they're acclimating to this new environment. But the main thing is just be really gentle with the roots. Alocasias have very fine roots, and so you don't want to be like bending them too much or breaking them. You can break some off, it's not the end of the world, but try not to be too damaging when you are going in removing the soil. And also a huge tip for all transfers from soil to semi-hydro is to rinse your plant's roots. I know some people don't do that every time, and it can cause rot in there. Also, making sure that the water you're watering with isn't too cold or too hot. A nice like lukewarm temperature is ideal. You don't want anything that's like too in either direction. And just keeping an eye on it and just making sure to look out for any sort of issues or things potentially going wrong. You can always put it back or take it out and put it in water for a little while if you're noticing some rot. But for the most part, I have had plenty of success going from soil to semi-hydro with my alocasias. Ooh, when did you realize that your hobby became an addiction? I mean, I feel like it became an addiction pretty early on. Once I figured out that I wasn't just gonna kill all the plants that I had, it became an addiction quite quickly, and I amassed quite a lot of plants in, I mean, I'd say a fairly long-ish amount of time. It's not as short as I know some people's journeys have been where they've collected 100 plants in like a year. I definitely didn't quite do that, but that's mostly because I was poor and I couldn't afford to just like get loads and loads of plants, which is totally fine and normal. You don't need to grow your collections that quickly if you don't want to. I definitely would have had I had more money, but yeah, I feel like I was already, I think, very ingrained in the houseplant community and growing houseplants before COVID happened, but it really became an even bigger thing during lockdown and that kind of thing, just because there was not that much else to do. I was furloughed for a good chunk of time, so I just had time in my home with nothing better to do than like do plant stuff and plant shop and whatever. And so I think that is that's kind of when it really boomed. And I think I noticed that I was spending a whole bunch of money on plants, and that is why I started my plant spending review videos that I tend to do around Christmas every year. At the end of each year, I've done 2 now, where I'm literally going through and telling y'all everything that I'm spending on houseplants. Because 1, it would hold me a little bit accountable, and 2, it just made me aware of how much I was spending. And like, obviously I have to track all my expenses because this is my job and whatever, and so in order to like pay the right amount of tax, I need to track my expenses. So I have it all tracked, but I don't think I was previously looking at what those numbers were for like specifically just plants. And ever since I started doing those videos, I have been paying a lot more attention. And I feel like I am at a point where I am no longer addicted to plants or addicted to buying houseplants. These ones were kind of the first ones I've gotten any sort of meaningful way in the past over 6 months. And even still, I only bought, I suppose, half of one, half of that begonia there. I didn't even buy that plant full myself. I'm sharing it with a friend. And so I feel like I am getting better, but it's hard because there's just always so many new things that are coming out, things that are getting easier and easier to find, things that used to be uncommon are getting like more popular and common and easy to attain. And so it's an ever-changing market, which I think is difficult because there's always something new that I want to try, and I don't think I'm ever gonna not have a plant wish list of things that I want to get. But I have been really good at not buying things right away, which I am very proud of, actually. I feel like this has like a really dense root ball in there. Sorry, I'm just having to concentrate for a second here to make sure I'm not royally screwing this up. Oh no, did I just break that off? Where'd it go? Ah, there was like a little corm in there, which I might have broken off. I don't think that will be quite mature enough to grow, but I might try and save it. Put it in a prop box or a little shallow puddle. I do kind of feel like it's not mature enough though. Might just rot away. Okay, I feel like this is the best I'm gonna get without water. And I have got most of it off, but there is definitely still some root ball in there, which is fine. That's that. And then I think the last one that I want to change over is my little begonia pink spot. Again, just because I know it, like all of the begonias I've had, all of the cane begonias have just done so much better in semi-hydro than in soil for me. Okay, that one was so easy. Little roots there. So I am just going to quickly rinse all these off and come back in a moment. Got my pasta bowl full of lovely washed roots now. I mean, get to the fun part, question mark, of actually potting these things up. The first one I want to do is the bigger begonia, I think. And it turns out it was actually 2 pieces, which is exciting. I've also never taken one of, like a rhizomaceous, is that even a word? A rhizome begonia, and taken it from soil to semi-hydro before. That's not something I've done, and I don't even know if it's a good idea. I have one of these pots that Lisa eyeballed when she was looking after my plants. Taking some big chunks of leca I have at the bottom, because this isn't a self-watering pot in itself, so I need to cover up those big holes in the bottom. Okay, someone's asked, what aspect of your upcoming wedding are you most excited about? I'm excited for a lot of it. I think it's going to be a really fun few days, actually, because we're kind of making it a thing with our bridal party, and then we're having like a barbecue the next day. So like we're kind of making it a whole proper thing. And I think maybe the evening food, we have a plan for some evening food that is some food that I really love from California. And so that is something really exciting for me because it's a food that reminds me of home. And obviously we're getting married not in California, and so any things that I can do to kind of bring that aspect of me into it, I think will be good. We actually don't have that many people coming out from California because like it is kind of a journey, but my family is, and so I'm sure they'll enjoy it as well. What else? Like I'm kind of just looking forward to like not the getting married part, but like just having all of our friends and family in one place celebrating this like love that Joe and I have. That sounds really freaking corny, but it's true. That's like it's how I feel. I'm just excited for having a good time with like all of the important people in our lives. Back to this. I'm trying to figure out what box I want to put my other one in. I'm kind of tempted actually to put it into a clear pot so I can keep an eye on the roots and put a trellis in it to hold it up right. Because I find that this one leans over loads. I feel like the medium one. Like that? Yes. Also, these are iridescent trellises from Bearded Botanists on Etsy. I'll link it down below. But these are some really fun trellises. They're so shiny. Look at that. That's so cool. So pretty. And I think it'll look so good with the silver. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Someone's asked, have I named any of my plants? And I think I might have named some, but like back at the very beginning of my houseplanting journey, I might have named some houseplants, but I definitely don't name them anymore. I have far too many to name them. I feel like I wouldn't actually be able to remember all of their names if I didn't name them all. So it doesn't really make sense to. Like, I can barely remember names of people. Imagine trying to remember 200 names of things in your house. And I'm also like not that creative with names. So I feel like once you get past the like normal names, I would struggle. But I really respect people who can and do name their plants and actually remember them, because that is not something that I have the ability to do. Okay. So I am a little bit nervous about this, so because I've never taken a begonia from soil into semi-hydro. I've always done it from cuttings. So I am kind of tempted to take some security cuttings just in case, but I will do that after this video because I don't have my scissors in close by. And I also need to grab my little clippies so I can clip this onto the trellis so it can stand up with it. I mean, it's standing up fine right now, but as soon as it gets thirsty, they droop so much, which is kind of annoying. But that is that. That was easy. I'm gonna put this baby begonia actually in my my pond box. So I'm just gonna put it in a tiny little pond container, because that's how I started with my white ice, and that one is doing amazingly now. But again, I didn't transfer that from soil to semi-hydro. I got that one as cuttings, so maybe it'll be a different story. Maybe not. I have full faith that I can grow these, but I just feel like it would benefit, especially in its transitioning phase, from quite high humidity. So that'll be where this one goes down the line. And then I have 2 self-watering pots that I'm going to put the 2 peace lily and alocasia in. I think I'm going to put the peace lily in the square one because that makes more sense. And this square one is kind of odd. It comes with a little string on a stick that you push through the bottom of a normal planter, and then you put that in there, and then it becomes a self-watering planter, I guess. So that's how we're gonna do it. What book would you recommend to start after the ACOTAR set? If you didn't know, I really love reading, and a series that I really love is A Court of Thorns and Roses, which I have read everything that's currently out by Sarah J Maas, minus the Catwoman book that she's done, because that's not necessarily my cup of tea, but I read everything from her. Oh, is this even going to be too small? We're going to do it. We're just going to do it, and it's going to be fine. Yeah, it'll be fine. And so, if you only read ACOTAR by Sarah J Maas, I highly recommend you going into the Throne of Glass series. But if you have read all of the Sarah J Maas stuff, a book that I read that I thoroughly enjoyed recently was Lightlark. And there's actually 2 coming on 3 books in that series so far. And I thoroughly enjoyed Lightlark. I haven't read the second one, Nightbane, yet, but it is, I'm actually planning on borrowing it from a friend, so I should be getting it this weekend. What else? I really enjoyed Six of Crows. I know some people didn't like it as much, but I thoroughly enjoyed that. And that's a 2-book series in a wider universe by the author as well. I feel like those are the main ones that I've read recently that I thoroughly enjoyed, but it's hard to find something to like get over the ACOTAR hangover. I understand if that's what you're going through. It's a difficult task, but potted that one up, which was really easy. I'm just gonna pop it in there, and I will sort these all out with, oh, actually, did I? I didn't get it between the roots enough. Okay, that's fine for now, and should be good going forward. I was about to say that I will be watering all of these afterwards, obviously, because they need to be hydrated. And then the alocasia is going to go into one of these classic self-watering pots, which I don't think they sell on Amazon anymore, because I've not been able to find them since I originally bought the 3-pack that I bought. And so I'm just gonna keep using them forever, but they're a nice easy one. What's my top wish list Hoya? Ooh, that's a struggle because I have a lot of Hoyas, a lot of baby Hoyas as well. So I don't feel like I'm necessarily in the need for anything crazy right now. Like I kind of just wish that I had bigger versions of the ones I have. Like I would really love a big Wilbur Graves, which I have a cutting or a small plant of one. I'd really love my Crassiopetalata Splash to get fuller. I think that's kind of my wish list at the minute, but oh, I've also seen recently some really cool ones. I'll pop the images up on the screen because I can't remember their names off the top of my bat. I can't remember the names off the top of my head. So I'll pop them on the screen, but they are ones that look really, really cool and really pretty. Again, they're splashy Hoyas, which isn't a surprise because I love me a splashy Hoya. But yeah, I feel like ever since I was on my kind of big plant ban this past winter, I have not been paying as much attention to the sort of new things that are coming out Hoya-wise. So in order to like not get tempted to buy them, because not that I get tempted really easily, but I feel like when you see a bunch of cool new things that you want, it's really easy to just like take the plunge and buy them. Smacking the pot to get it to go down between the roots, or like violently shaking it very quickly. Both work. There we go. That looks really good. Oh, I'm glad to have done those 3 things, or 4 I guess. I was not putting them off, but I knew that I didn't want to do them before I went away to Scotland, just because it was going to not be good to do them and then leave for 10 days. So that's why I didn't do them before I went away. And I did really want to though, because I like having my plants potted the way I like, and I knew that they would benefit more from a little bit more stable watering situations. I think I might also do my Tycon now, just because I can, and I have the pot for it. I pulled it just in case I had the time, but I have a proper self-watering pot for it, because as of right now it's just in, ooh, but was I gonna put a moss pole in it? Let me see if I have one second.
20 minutes later.
Okay, sorry, that took me a second. I had to make up a whole pot system, or pole system. I found this tall skinny pole I had, and I wanted to attach it to the pot, so I had to solder some holes in, attach it. It took a moment. Not to worry. Let me raise this up a little bit because we're doing a taller plant now. And I can pull this one out. So you can see right now I've just been doing a makeshift self-watering pot, and I just don't like them as much as a concept. It's just not for me. So let's put them in there. I almost feel like I need to kneel for this so we can see what the heck is going on. Someone has asked what the tallest plant I own is, and I'm pretty sure it's my Repotting tetrasperma. It is currently taller than I am, I think. So that's pretty intense. And then I think we can go straight into there. That's not working. Some quick root removing of anything that's soggy. Yeah, that's my tallest plant. I think I have all of my really, really tall plants in my room at the minute, because I've set up a portion that's like plants on the floor, because I have nowhere else to put plants that are taller than I am. So I feel like that makes sense. Okay, is that enough? It should be. So my thought is to do that with it, so strap it to the pole there, because it looks like it's crawling for pole space, so I'll strap it there. I think that would work, hopefully. I think one of these might be long actually perfect. And I will make sure to hydrate this bowl because it is extremely dehydrated. It was just like a random one that I had lying about because that's what I have at the minute. Are you going to Gardener's World Live? No, I'm not this year. It's really far out of the way for me to get all the way up to Birmingham. And I've been doing so much traveling for the plant swap this year anyways, that I just don't feel like I have it in me to do like another show. Because I also did Malvern and Chelsea this year. And I know Gardener's World Live isn't an RHS event, but also the houseplant section at Gardener's World Live last year was pretty meh. I don't know if it'll be any better this year. I actually don't know anyone in particular who's going, and so the reason I went last year was because I knew that Sloan and Jen Liquid Gold Leaf were going, and they invited me and Lisa with another plant swap to go up and like work with them for those few days, which was super duper fun. And I did get to meet some of y'all, which was really good, but I don't think I can go up to the Midlands again, just because I've been going up there so often. I also have a new baby niece who lives up in the Midlands, so we've been going up and visiting them a lot. So just, it's a bit much to be traveling so much, and I'm already feeling a little bit not burnt out, that's not the right word, but I'm tired of traveling. I'm such a homebody that I would like to stay home. And so the answer is no, I'm not going to Gardener's World Live. I don't have the mental capacity for it at the minute, and I don't know when it is. So I could be busy. Who are my favorite plant YouTube creators? This sounds really weird, but I don't watch that much planty YouTube. It's just not something that, like, because I do this for my job and I am like seeing what people are posting all the time, watching bits and bobs of people's videos, I don't tend to watch that much plant YouTube on my own time. But if I were to, or if I do sometimes, I tend to put on Claire the Jungle Haven. It's really weird because like obviously we're quite close friends, so like I know what she's doing, but I still really enjoy her content and seeing what's up in her collection, so I watch her a lot. I'll watch Wild Fern. I used to watch Harley G, but not as much anymore. Sometimes I'll watch Becca Della Plants. Perky Plants is a small one that I love. And then one of my patrons actually just started a new channel about, like, I think it's plants and craft related. So it's mixing plants and crafts, which that's really fun. I like seeing what she's got going on in her collection. But yeah, I don't tend to watch that much planty YouTube. I think part of it is just because it's my job and I don't tend to do my job in my free time. Oh, also, who just started? Bearded Plantaholic just started a YouTube channel, and I love him and his content. Johnny is fantastic. If you aren't following him, you should be. I'm sure you probably are at this point because he's like bigger than me in like popularity. So definitely recommend him. My friend Lisa, Happy Plant Collector, just started a YouTube channel for her shorts, so I recommend those. Do you add a layer of moss on top of your anthuriums? If so, do you add it on top of pon? So no, I haven't actually added a layer of sphagnum moss on top of my anthuriums before. I know people do that to encourage root growth around the sort of stem, because you can get roots in there, and if you were to then chop and prop, you could chop it easier and get new growth, because you'll have two sections with roots on them. So I know people do that. I know Claire specifically does that, so I recommend looking at her stuff for that. And yes, I believe she does put it on top of pon. Like I said, I've not personally done it, so I can't really speak to it, but I know you can totally do that. So if you want to be doing that with your anthuriums, you totally can, and it's not really a problem. I am tempted to try it though, because I have like heard good things about it. It's just never been in don't know, I've never felt like I needed to. Maybe I'll do that with my work phantom, which is doing absolutely nothing. Actually, it doesn't have any stem that I can wrap it around. Kind of annoyed at it because I really, really love the work phantom, but it's just doing. It hasn't done anything in so long, so kind of annoying. I'm running out of semi-hydro in my box. I mean, that I have several more bags of semi-hydro just like around the house, but I try and use the recycled stuff as much as possible. But this is the first time in a very long time that I've been like proper empty with this box. Crazy. But I mean, I suppose I'll have, oh, I was gonna say, where did it all go? It's all down on the ground there. I've got this whole old pot full of semi-hydro that I'll need to rinse and wash. I mean, I don't think I need to necessarily because it's not like this plant had pests on it. It might be different if it did, but it didn't. But I probably still will anyway, just because I like to do that when I'm recycling the semi-hydro or reusing it. So yeah, I think this is where I'm going to end this for now. I have gotten a whole heck of a lot done in here, so feeling good. Very glad that I have sorted all the plants I have in here because I feel like it's just such a relief to like actually get some like specific plant stuff done. So yeah, that is it for now. Before I sign off though, I want to say a huge thank you to the newest member of my Patreon, Lauren. Thanks for joining in the Good Growing fam. I hope you love it over there. If anyone else is interested in joining my Patreon, it's £3 or about $4.50 a month or about €4, and you get everything for that, including Discord, access to our community Discord where we can talk about plants and our pets and books and just generally all of the fun things. You can geek out about plants with us, access to bonus content, live chats, voting polls where you can help decide what content goes on this channel here, and actually early access to my vlog channel videos as well. So that's what's up. If you want to join it, absolutely no pressure if you don't. Otherwise, the rest of you, thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please give a thumbs up down below and leave a comment on any other houseplanty things you'd like me to talk about in the future, and don't forget to subscribe for more. Thanks for watching again, and I will see you in the next one. Keep growing. Bye!